Welcome back, people. This is part two of my Can It Really Do That, which was my Orca roto-molded cooler to see if I could get 10 days of ice retention or somewhat close to that. And the short answer is probably, with a disclaimer. And what I mean by that is it depends on a lot of factors. And you would think that heat will be one of the biggest factors, or sunlight, but it's not. I proved that in my test. So the biggest factor is that the amount of ice you use. That's the biggest factor. Now there's some smaller contributing factors like the type of water you use in the ice, the type of ice that you buy, what brand is it, you know what I'm saying? Some ice, lasts a little longer than other ice brands, or the water they use primarily. If it's filtered water, the ice will typically last longer from the research I've done. I tried to use salt in the ice. Didn't work out so well to maintain the ice. It made the water colder, made the ice colder, but it also melted faster. As you know, we use ice on roads, at least in the East Coast. We use salt, we use salt on the roads, and the salt melts the ice. So it initially makes it colder, but it also melts the ice. So that's the biggest factor, was the amount of ice used. And in my test, I started off with 4 pounds of ice. I only got 2 days of ice retention. I couldn't figure out why everybody else was getting 6, 7 days, 10 days ice retention, when I was only getting 2 days. So I figured that I would add some more ice. So I went to 10 pounds of ice. Then I got 2 days again. Then I went to 15 pounds of ice. Then I got 4 days of ice retention. Then I went to 20 pounds of ice, and then I got 5 days of ice retention. So the reason why I stopped at 20 is because it wasn't practical anymore to put any more ice in the cooler than that, because I couldn't get all the food that I wanted to get in there, with more than 20 pounds of ice. And even though the cooler can handle up to 40 pounds of ice, which is not practical, because then you can't get nothing in there, but a toothpick. So it wasn't worth going above 20 pounds of ice. A lot of people don't tell you how much ice they use. They tell you in buckets or in gallons, but they should be measuring in pounds, because not everybody has gallons and knows how many pounds a gallon is, and the bucket can be different size and shape and everything. It's just too many factors there that aren't duplicatable, unless you know the exact bucket, the exact dimensions of that bucket, So this way, pounds. Everybody knows about pounds. You can measure pounds in a Ziploc bag, and that way you can get an accurate result, as accurate as I got them. So ice quantity is the major factor on how long you can get your ice retention out of your particular cooler, whatever size it may be. Also, I noticed that people were giving on YouTube, they were, these cooler gurus were giving their days of how many days they had ice retention. But a lot of people on YouTube, including the gurus, they were making mistakes. They were saying, they were getting 10 days, sometimes 11 days, but in reality, it was always 1 day less than what they say. Because they were talking about the same day they started the test, in the middle of the day, as 1 day. They count the first day they started the test as 1 day, 1 whole day. The next day they count as 2 days. And when you start at 12 o'clock noon, and then the next day is, on Monday, 12 o'clock noon, the next day is Tuesday, 12 o'clock noon, that's only 1 day, not 2 days. You don't count Monday and Tuesday as 2 days. It's only 1 day, people. So they were over-exaggerating the amount of days by 1. And like 90% of everybody was doing that on their videos. I couldn't figure out why, but I think they were just, I think it was on accident. I don't think it was intentional, but I think it was on accident. They were just like counting the first day as day 1. And, like in Korea, when you're born, they count that as 1 year old. The day you're born, you're 1 year old automatically. In the U.S., no. You're only 1 day old when you're born in the U.S. And then, tomorrow you're 2 days old. That's it. Or, it might be actually just 1 day after the second day, actually. But, you can't, you gotta think about it as a 24-hour clock. Has it been 24 hours yet? That means it's only been 1 day. I don't care when the sun came up and went down, what day of the week it is. It's only 1 day. 24 hours is only one day. You can't count 2 days because you want cross over from Monday to Tuesday or from Tuesday to Wednesday. It's not 2 days, it's only one day. So people weren't very accurate on that. So they were overinflating their numbers by one day. I didn't appreciate that because it was throwing the whole their whole testing off, and I couldn't really trust them 100% based on that. But also I noticed that with this particular cooler that there's a design flaw. If you notice on this Orca cooler here, 26 quart, or I don't know if it's all of them or just this one, but the handles hang down to below the drain plug. So when the water comes gushing out, it hits this handle and it sprays all over the place. So you got to hold the cable up high out of the way with a separate hand to allow that to flow unimpeded. So what they could have done is just make this cooler a little bit taller, and that would have had this handle up above the drain plug, naturally hanging. Then it wouldn't be an issue. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why they didn't think of that when they were designing this thing and rolled it out, or even changed it now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who they have working on their review team or processes, but that was a major issue right here. Right, it's even not even at the level; it's below the drain plug level. So the water comes gushing out, and then obviously it goes down when it comes. It shoots out like this far too, so it's gonna hit this plug every time unless you hold it out of the way. And then also, if it was taller, I wouldn't need to flatten down the milk lid down. And also, I have a thing of orange juice that I like to buy, and it's a little too tall, so I have to angle it sideways, cockeyed kind of, to make the cooler close. So they could have made it a little taller. That would have alleviated this problem right here. Bit much better design. I mean, other than that, the design is fine. So I just had to point that out. Also, when you get this cooler, or others, probably in general, make sure you register your cooler right away, because the warranty will not be effective after 30 to 90 days typically. So if you try to register after that time, you might not be covered under warranty, even though you bought it new from wherever, Amazon or directly from Orca. It doesn't matter. They won't honor the warranty, possibly. I've seen people who didn't get their warranty honored because they were like a few days later, a couple weeks late, a month late from registering, and they weren't covered under warranty. So make sure you register right away. Don't forget about it. They tell you in the very back of the book that if you don't register, you're not covering the warranty after 90 days or 30 days, whatever the window is. So be careful of that. Oh, so just to recap, pre-chilling is a big thing. You want to pre-chill the cooler to get the most amount of ice retention as well. And that could be just putting a bag of ice in there for a few hours or a day, and then taking that bag of ice out and putting a new bag of ice in there. Now, some of those gurus on TV, they were like putting their coolers in a deep freezer, which is not very practical for most people. Unless you own a deep freezer, unless you have access to a commercial restaurant with a deep freezer, you know, that's not really all that practical for most of us, I think. So their results were the best they can be because they were using the best pre-chilling factors, you know what I'm saying? And they were having food that was, or water or soda that was already pre-chilled, I think, in the cooler as well, most times. So just keep that in mind, that people can skew the results by any number of ways. But the amount of ice is the biggest contributing factor of how you get the max amount of ice retention. So that's all I have to say, folks. I'm out. Hope you learned something. Lean with it.